Hello again, lads. The 4.3 banners have now been revealed, and so I am here to talk about them. Of course, the first new Geo unit in 2 years will be coming out this patch, and I couldn't be any happier. Not only does she breathe new life into the element, she also gives me life with how cute she is. Come on, look at her. Now let's get into the actual kit, shall we? Navia is going to be a quite solid Geo DPS character, with the ability to play as a sub DPS. The last time we saw this was Ayato, but he was forced to on-field for particles. Navia does not have this issue. She is way more effective at being an off-fielder. This also means that she'll have a pretty long shelf life compared to other DPS units, since she'll have potential to slide into future teams. She's quite solid in every scenario you place her in, and that's considering she doesn't really have a crazy support to boost her yet, so her potential's looking pretty damn good. In the damage department, she does of course lose to Nouvelette, but losing Nouvelette doesn't make you bad. Like, come on, almost everyone loses to him. Navia even has some things over Nouvelette, mainly being front-loaded damage. They can even work together, with Navia being able to hold the Archaic Petra set. She can buff Nouvelette's damage with that. Of course, it's not Nouvelette's new best team or anything, but it's worth looking at. But who does Navia have direct competition with? Ito. I'll say right now, Navia blows Ito out of the water. There is no shot they can even be seen as equals. Ito and Navia both have their mini nukes, and Navia's are simply stronger. Navia also has better teammates, and can also fit into a quite large amount of teams. Her carry teams are also no slouch. Ito's totally inflexible in comparison. He will only work in mono Geo teams, which is a whole can of worm itself. He's also restricted to being a pure hyper carry only, and look what happened, he got power crept. I can't say I recommend her as a first 5-star, or even as one of your first 5-star. She is a unit you can mess around with when you have the building blocks established, but not before that. All carry units need to have a lot of investment, so when you're new to the game, it's better to chase teams that give you more damage for less artifact investment. Navia's 4-star only teams also aren't that great, so if you're just starting off, go snatch all those great universal supports first. You can come back for Navia later. Next up is the Shirisug Kamisato Ayaka, a unit that I have managed to shit on at almost every turn, yet I cannot deny her viability even to this day. Even if half of her viability got robbed by Dendro. Anyway, hey, she's doing a bunch of damage. But to be serious, Ayaka excels whenever the enemy is not moving. Freeze! Gotta love Freeze. Single-handedly makes Ayaka one of the best units for mobbing content, but her reliance on the reaction does lower her viability as a boss killer. Don't get me wrong, she can still do it, but not as well as other characters can. Another problem is there's units who offer strong AoE damage for a lot less investment. Look at Needle Bloom, for example. Modern hypercarries are also proving to be good in both single target and AoE. Look at Alhaitham, for example. He does great with both. But she also, again, competes with Nouvelette, and again, she is worse, but has the advantage of front-loaded damage. Front-load is a massive plus for a DPS unit, since it offers more flexible rotations, because while her burst is going, you can funnel particles and prepare for the next rotation. Yet, in most of Ayaka's teams, she is the one doing most of the damage. This means that after her front-load is over, nothing is really happening. As for a more direct comparison, there's Wriothesley. While Wriothesley's personal damage is absolutely eclipsed by Ayaka, he has better teammates. He is able to run a Melt Vape team with him and Farina, and given Farina's large damage profile, that makes Ryo's team stronger than Ayaka's in single target. Demanding Kazuha is also pretty rough. She does not have the flexibility of a Navia, but she has damage in spades. Yet with this damage must come a price. That price being, well, a literal price because Ayaka is expensive. Do not roll for Ayaka if you cannot afford to roll for Mistsplitter. Playing Ayaka without it is like playing Pokemon, but all your Pokemon have slow start. You do 0 damage. Again, not recommended to pull Ayaka early on. but I'd say she is even less of a priority than Navia as well, due to her low flexibility and high investment cost. Speaking of investment, how about you invest your time into liking and subscribing? Given you've made about halfway, you most likely won't regret it. Now, Raiden is an interesting unit. People have been shitting on her way too much for my comfort. While it is true that there have been a lot more teams that have come out that beat the older Raiden teams in damage, people do not see how Raiden has innovated with the times as well. People are quick to point out her viability as a Hyper Bloom trigger, but then do not see the potential in her Aggravate teams. Sure, they aren't her best teams, but it's still there. And now, of course, she has innovated even more so thanks to, of course, Furina. Unlike most teams where Furina carried someone else, this is a mutual give-and-take relationship. Raiden allows Furina to run way less energy recharge and focus on her damage, while Furina does damage so that Raiden doesn't have to. Raiden couples especially well with units that have lower burst costs. This because Raiden's energy regeneration will have a much larger impact on their energy recharge requirements. This does mean you get less resolve, however, but that's kind of a nitpick. This coupled with Raiden's already amazing synergy with Elan makes Raiden Double Hydra one of the most brain-dead yet good teams. Don't toss Raiden aside only because she's old news. She is still plenty viable. If you pull Raiden as like your 3rd or 4th 5-star, you can sure as hell find a way to use her. She has too many goddamn archetypes to not be usable. Raiden is a very unique unit, and no character can do what she does. She is super future-proof, depending on how the future's handled, of course. For instance, look at the meta right now. Raiden even now has a bunch of useful applications. She's only become more flexible over time, being part of some especially powerful teams, such as Alhaitham Quick Bloom. Whether you're a new player or someone with a lot of characters, Raiden is worth your time. I'm sorry, but I must go all out. Just this once. If you care about meta, do not pull Yoimiya ever. I am serious. There is no reason to pull Yoimiya if performance is all that matters to you. She has no niche, no specialty, no gimmicks. She is beat at every single thing she tries to do. You need a good pyro DPS? Choose Linny. He's one of the best hyper carries in the game. You want to drive to double Hydro Core? Hu Tao is a better option. You'd only take Yoimiya over her because of ease of use, but when Hu Tao gets C1, it's not even close. So, back on track. Yoimiya's damage actually isn't awful, it's just that she has no real advantage over any other unit. She's comparable to a C0 Hu Tao, but that is not exactly the best character you want to be compared to. It's to a point where using Yelan and Furina and having her be a driver is better. This is of course assuming that both Furina and Yelan have their signature, which boosts them by a lot. But even then, there's better options to drive this combo. Yoimiya is a copium pick. There's much cheaper drivers for this core as well. Why not Kokomi for Furina's fanfare, or Raiden? It goes to show how tragic Yoimiya's fate is. At least she doesn't need as much investment as the other Pyro DPS characters. But even with that investment, she is still beaten by Linny. By a pretty large margin even. It's not even close. I'm sorry. I can't justify recommending Yoimiya to anyone at all. She may be easy to use, but for what she offers, there's plenty of other user-friendly choices that offer a lot more. If I had to rank these characters, I would say Raiden is the best character in this patch. She is so goddamn versatile and brain-dead that I can't not recommend her. Next up will be Navia. She is, again, very versatile. She also produces better results at lower investment compared to Ayaka, who I'm going to recommend next. While Ayaka does more damage than Navia when you give her the investment, her nicheness holds her back. And then finally Yoimiya. You should never pull for Yoimiya unless you like the character. But hey, that's enough waffling from me. Who are you playing to pull for? Leave a comment down below, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. That will be all from me. Peace.